All right, wait. Is my hand visible? No, not at all. All right, so I'm gonna change the signal to this because I found myself. Yeah, just opening my hand. All right, cool. Hello, and welcome to my ideal path to becoming a mix engineer. So all my life I've been wanting to be a mix engineer, but the reason why I'm saying it's my ideal path is because in this industry, you never know what path you're going to take. So what exactly is a mix engineer? Well, a mix engineer is someone who artfully combines a wide variety of tracks into one final take. They make sure that the final product is 100% finished and coherent with what the producer and what the artist wanted. So, what is my plan? How can I get to becoming a mix engineer? Well, as it turns out in this industry, there's a lot of ways to accomplish something. The first way is the traditional way, and it's the studio way. So, usually this is the one most people are familiarized with, and it's where you start as an intern or as a low-level position, and through hard work and eagerness to learn, you start working your way up. It's really good because you get a much more direct approach, and it's usually the industry standard for becoming a mix engineer. So one position I could start through is as a studio setup worker. This is an entry-level position, and the goal of a studio setup worker is to set up gear and smooth out the sessions without interrupting them. So what that means is the engineers have to be able to have a really fluid session with the artists, and you have to be completely unobtrusive, and you're pretty much a fly on the wall. You're just there to learn and do your job as best as possible. So why would this position help me is because it helps me prepare for other positions as I slowly start my grind in the studio, and it also gives me direct interaction with the mix engineer from day one. So it's an ideal first step. This path is really good. Another route I can take is the live event route. So it's pretty much the same industry because it's still the entertainment industry, but there's some differences between live and being in the studio. However, I could transfer most of my knowledge into the studio later on. So the path here would be to, through the live industry, become a front of house engineer. Now, a front of house engineer, they control what the audience hears. They're almost considered a fifth member of a four-piece band because they have as much influence on the sound as any other, if not more. They're also in charge of the overall supervision, so it's somewhat of a managerial position. The thing with front of house, though, is that it's not a starting gig, but it gives me an alternate route. It increases my knowledge, and I could eventually transfer from being a front of house engineer into a mix engineer because they're pretty much the equivalent. It's the equivalent for the live industry. Also, working live, usually in a live situation, you have a lot less time. So if I am aware of what I'm doing live, I'll be able to feel much more comfortable when it comes to recording in the studio. So they're very compatible overall. The third way is somewhat of an alternate route, but it's still within the entertainment industry. So this way is the sound design for film way. It shows me the other side of things, and pretty much with sound design for film, it's mixing a song in a much, much larger scale. But it's a bit less musically focused, which allows me to work and focus on other components of audio. So the position I would aspire in this way would be the sound designer. So a sound designer is pretty much in charge of all aspects of a film audio. It's also a managerial position, and it's one where you don't start at. It is mixing, as I said, mixing in a much larger scale. Instead of a 3-minute song, you're mixing a 2-hour movie. The thing is, it doesn't have as much music. So the idea here would be to get to being a sound designer, and the advantages that has when I want to transfer myself back to being a mix engineer is that I would essentially be doing the same role, because as a mix engineer, you're trying to accomplish the product and the vision that the artist has, and it's the same for when you're doing sound design. The only bad part here is that I would have to, well, bad depending on how you look on it, is that I would have to be really well established in the industry to be able to jump from sound designer all the way to mix engineer, because they're somewhat unrelated careers.
I sort of wear a lot of hats. I just like making records and I get bored very easily. So I tried to just do a lot of different things. And I think more than just God-given talent, I don't think I have actually a lot of that. I just work very hard at it. I tried writing songs and I wrote a bunch of terrible ones, and then they started getting a little better. And I started producing songs and I produced a bunch of terrible ones and they got better. And the same with mixing and engineering. You suck and then you don't suck as much.
So DJ Swivel graduated from Full Sail University, and he shows that through hard work and eagerness to learn, it doesn't, in the end, it doesn't matter what route I take. So that kind of messed up the whole thing.